Hello and welcome to You So You. This is my channel all about all the crafty bits and pieces I get up to. I knit, I sew, I crochet, I spin on a drop spindle, I'm learning to weave, and there are various other bits and pieces that I dabble in from time to time. And this is my series of short videos all about spinning on a drop spindle. So welcome to part 2 of my basic spindle spinning series, a series of short videos introducing the techniques required to produce yarn on a drop spindle, which is ideal if you want to spin but don't have a wheel. Wheels are expensive, wheels take up a lot of space. This little thing is an awful lot cheaper and easier to store. So I've been spinning on this spindle. I've already shown you how to spin some singles using a spindle like this. And today we're going to look at how we're going to ply them to make a 2-ply yarn. So that'll balance out any inconsistencies in the spin, any thinness and thickness throughout, and produce a nice yarn that you can then knit with or crochet with or whatever else takes your yarny fancy. So let's get started. Now the first thing that I did once I finished spinning each spindle, if you remember from the previous video, I split my merino stellina base into two 50-gram-ish halves and spun them up separately. When I got to the end of each single, I wound them off onto this highly technical spinning device. It is a 10mm knitting needle. You don't have to wind them off onto knitting needles. People use toilet rolls, the inside of kitchen rolls, anything like that. So you just want something cylindrical that you can wind your yarn onto. So I have my 2 singles ready to go, and I'm going to put them into a spindle kate. My spindle kate is high-tech, expensive, top of the line Amazon box. You don't have to spend an awful lot of money to get started in spindle spinning. The only real expense is the fibre and the spindle. So with my spindle kate, I'm going to insert my 2 wound off singles. If you've wound them off onto toilet rolls or other cardboard tubing, you'll probably want to put a knitting needle through the middle of that tube to make this work. So in my box, I've got some holes at either end. One is from where I used it to wind off from a spindle in the middle there, and then the other 2 I've got ready for my knitting needles. So I'm going to insert those into the box and then I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so there are my knitting needles in my spindle kate. As you see, the knitting needles will actually rotate in there, which is what you need. I'm going to put that on the floor and hold it with my feet, just because the weight of the box isn't quite strong enough to withstand the upward pull from the yarn as it's being taken off. The crucial thing with your spindle kate is that you need to have free motion from what you've got your yarn wound around in order to then be able to ply it. You can see the start of my 2 singles is looser than the rest of it. That's quite standard, particularly when you're beginning. I'm just going to twist it around a little bit and create a little loop. I'm then going to hook that loop over my spindle hook. Now if you remember, when we were spinning our singles, if we were right-handed we were pulling our thumb towards us to spin the yarn anti-clockwise, and if we were left-handed we were pushing it away, depending on which hand we were holding the spindle with. To ply our yarn, we're going to do the opposite. So if we're spinning with our right hand, we're going to push our thumb away from us, and if we're spinning with our left hand, we're going to pull the thumb towards us. I'm using my right hand, so I'm going to be pushing my thumb away. So we hook our 2 singles over the hook of our spindle. We push our thumb, if we are right-handed, away from us to spin clockwise, And if we are left-handed, we are going to be pulling our thumb towards us. The important thing is that you ply in the opposite direction to the direction that you spun in. Once we've got a short length plied, we're going to take it off the hook, just as we did when we started spinning our singles. We're going to wrap it around the base of the spindle, bring it up through the hook again, and then we're just going to carry on. You may find you want to put your hand between your two singles to hold them steady as you are playing. The more twist you put in, the more firmly it's going to be plied. But as you can see, any inconsistencies in thin and thickness are being evened out by the process of plying. Obviously I am at the moment holding everything in front of me so you can see what's going on, but that is meaning that I'm going to get a little bit tangled up, so I'm just going to move my spindle cake to one side and still hold it with my foot against the sofa just to keep it steady. Okay, now I'm going to wrap that length that I've just plied around the shaft of my spindle. Bring it up through the hook and continue. So you're still getting some thick and thin bits coming through, but that, as I say, is the joy of handspun, it's part of it. Okay, so I'm going to carry on plying this yarn, and once it's done I'm going to leave it at least overnight before I take it off the spindle, and I will be back to show you how to do that in a day or two. So if you found this video helpful, by all means like and subscribe down below, pass it on to your friends and family who may also want to learn to spin, and I will see you next time. And so until then, bye bye!